What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside Samoa Joe.
Greg, great to be here. First time here on Kinda Funny Games Daily, and I'm really excited about this.
It's been too long, but I said Thursday, March 10th, Mario Day, a day that will live in infamy. We have to have Samoa Joe on. How you been, Joe?
I've been excellent, man. Been excellent. Been busy. Been doing a lot of cool projects I can't tell you anything about, but yeah. Other than that, yeah, doing well.
Well, let me check my notes here. All right. So if somebody doesn't know you, of course, you're Samoa Joe, professional wrestler, Ring of Honor, TNA, WWE, NXT, yada, yada, yada. Most importantly, King Shark in Suicide Squad. Now, I understand you can tell us everything that's happening in Suicide Squad, so go ahead.
Yes, I can tell you as much as I know, which is absolutely nothing according to the several NDAs that I signed.
Rocksteady! Rocksteady, why?
But I can say this much: it's going to be a fun game.
Yeah, I can't wait. We've seen so little from it, but it's Rocksteady, of course, so that's going to be something special.
Right? Yeah, I judging by how passionate they are about what they're doing as far as my involvement, yeah, I think we're in pretty safe hands.
And I never want to get in trouble. How did that start? I mean, obviously you're Samoa Joe, and if you know wrestling, you know Samoa Joe. Obviously, you've been around forever. But if you know video games and wrestlers, you also know that you're a huge video game fan. So was it they approached you? Did you audition? Did you go to them and say you have to do this?
Kind of just a random connection of acquaintances and people, and got their casting director in touch with me, and they liked what I offered, and it kind of went from there.
It's fantastic. I can't wait to see it. I know it's still a ways out, but I know you can't talk about it, so I don't want to get in trouble. So outside of that, Joe, we have a whole bunch of people here who, of course, listen or watch Kinda Funny Games Daily for the video game news, and maybe they don't know the professional wrestling world. So real quick, who are you and what do you do?
My name is Samoa Joe. I am a professional wrestler for a little bit over 20 years. I've grappled all over the world for several organizations, most of which include every combination of letter that you can possibly imagine. I currently am working as a voice actor in the video game realm across several different mediums. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of me in a nutshell.
Excellent. Question then, if I think I ask everybody when they come on, what's your favorite game of all time?
Ooh, great question. I think at this moment, when I really think back in the breadth of the games that I've played, it's still Final Fantasy VI.
Final Fantasy VII?
No.
Oh, you drifted off there. You drifted off Fantasy.
Final Fantasy. No, it's 6, dude.
6? You did say 6.
Where the real villains live, man. Where guys say they're gonna wreck the world, and they do, Greg. All right? We're dealing with real issues here, okay? Not potential issues, all right? The meteor hit, dog. All right, and 6 it hit.
I apologize, Joe. I didn't mean to take offense.
Well, I'll play this game with you. If you want to start off hot, man, I'll play this game with Creed. I'll play it with you, man.
No, I don't want any of the heat you brought.
Here's some Captain Giggles up in here. All right, I'm good. I'm calmed down.
No, it's fine. And every time we talk about Austin Creed, aka Xavier Woods, I get heated too. You know what I mean? Yeah. This guy, because it's just hate to see somebody who's like a tick. And he's always just riding Big E. He's always just riding Kofi. Do something for yourself. You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't want to say we called him Captain Coattails, but I mean, there was a small rumbling of that smattering around the locker room at times.
We can get that started right now if you want.
Yeah.
Everybody tweet at Xavier Woods, aka Austin Creed. Austin Creed wins on Twitter. Tweet at him and say Captain Coattails, # Kinda Funny Games Daily. He'll understand. He'll understand where that's coming from. So now, Joe, you talked about being a professional wrestler. You talked about being a voice actor in games and doing other projects and stuff like that. You're not in danger of hanging up your boots, are you? You're not leaving professional wrestling behind, are you?
I don't think so. I think there's definitely some very interesting potential matchups on the horizon. So, I mean, it's just a matter of kind of sitting down and getting things organized and figuring out where we go from here.
Sure. Because, Ring of Honor, TNA, WWE, NXT. It feels like there's one missing. That does a lot of stuff, but
Yeah, I mean, there's a few missing, I'm sure. I mean, but we can get it figured out.
Okay. For now, let's figure out the video game news of the day. PlayStation and Nintendo are suspending sales in Russia. PlayStation has more abuse allegations, and WWE 2K22's DLC has been announced. We're going to talk about all this and more because this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about. If you like that, be part of the show over on patreon.com/kindafunnygames. Over on patreon.com/kindafunnygames, you can write in with your questions, your comments, your concerns. You, of course, can get the show ad-free. You can get it with the exclusive post show we do. You could be a Patreon producer. You could watch us record the shows live like Gamescast, Xcast, PS I Love You, XOXO, and so much more. All on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames for a couple bucks. But if you have no bucks to toss our way, don't worry. There are plenty of ways to help us for free. Number one, you could be watching the show live, twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. If you're watching live, just like Frog Knight, Joshy G, Psycho Retros 2, and Edwin Rivara you have a special job. Go to kindoffunny.com/you're wrong and tell us what we screw up as we screw it up so we can set the record straight for everybody watching later on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, roosterteeth.com, and listening on podcast services around the globe each and every weekday. Of course, the other great way to help us for free over on the Epic Game Store, use the creator code KINDAFUNNY. It would kick us a few bucks on every one of your Epic purchases. And you might say, Greg, I don't use the Epic Game Store. Well, I'm sure you use a PlayStation, Xbox, or Nintendo. And if you do, then guess what? Fortnite, Rocket League, and of course, Fall Guys all use the Epic creator code too. So plug in Kinda Funny and help us out. Housekeeping for you. It's a big old day of wrestling here. Of course, Joe's on right now. We're going to go through the news with you. Right after that, we're going to stream WWE 2K22 right here. Me and Blessing are talking about doing an hour-long Iron Man match. We'll see how that goes. That's all on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. If you miss it, you can watch it later, of course. youtube.com/kindoffunnyplays later, where all of our archives go. Now, Joe, when we finish the show, of course, you and I go do a Patreon post show, but the stream is scheduled to start. I told Blessing he should take his character and wrestle Joe, because you're in the game, obviously, and go out there and see if he can actually compete. I don't think he can. I don't think he's got a prayer.
I mean, it's a good intro to the violence you're going to need in order to, really succeed at this game. So, I mean, it's I think that's a good call.
Okay. Blessing, if you are a man, you'll wrestle Samoa Joe as soon as the stream starts, all right? And then this afternoon, AEW's Fuego del Sol is going to be on the Kinda Funny podcast. You can catch that live on patreon.com/kindafunny as we record it, or later tomorrow, youtube.com/kindafunny podcast services around the globe. If that still wasn't enough Kinda Funny content for you, CEO Junior Barrett Courtney has a Persona 4 Arena Ultimate unboxing up right now on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames and all of our social handles for you to check out and let him nerd out about Persona. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Gordon McGuire, Fargo Brady, and Pranksky. Today, we're brought to you by Upstart, ExpressVPN, Chime, and Babbel, but Tim will tell you about that later. For now, let's begin the show with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news. We got 7 items on the Roper Report.
A baker's dozen.
Number 1, PlayStation and Nintendo have stopped business in Russia. We go into Ryan Browne over at CNBC. Sony's PlayStation division and Nintendo have stopped product sales in Russia, becoming the latest major brands to withdraw from the country over the Ukraine war. A representative for Sony's video game unit said Wednesday that the company has suspended all console and software shipments in the country, including the launch of the new racing title Gran Turismo 7. The PlayStation Store will also no longer be available in Russia. Quote, Sony Interactive Entertainment joins the global community in calling for peace in the Ukraine, the company said. Sony Group said it has earmarked $2 million for donations to the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees and Save the Children, quote, to support the victims of this tragedy. Separately Wednesday, Nintendo said it was suspending all shipments to Russia, quote, for the foreseeable future, citing considerable volatility surrounding the logistics of shipping and distributing physical goods, end quote. The Switch console maker has also decided to postpone the release of Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp, a military-themed strategy game, in light of recent world events. Sony and Nintendo are following in the footsteps of iconic brands McDonald's, Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, and Starbucks, which have suspended operations in Russia amid outcry over the country's invasion of Ukraine. Last week, video game companies began taking steps to sever ties with Russia. CD Projekt, makers of sci-fi game Cyberpunk 2077, and Electronic Arts said they would block all sales of games and content in Russia and Belarus. Microsoft said on Friday it would halt all new sales of its products and services in Russia, including its Xbox game consoles, software, and subscription services. Epic Games, the studio behind Fortnite, followed suit the next day, saying it was, quote, stopping commerce with Russia in our games. The official statement from Sony that they put up on Twitter reads like this. Sony Interactive Entertainment joins the global community in calling for peace in Ukraine. We've suspended all software and hardware shipments, the launch of Gran Turismo 7, and operations of the PlayStation Store in Russia. To support humanitarian aid, Sony Group Corporation announced a $2 million donation to the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees and the international NGO Save the Children to support the victims of this tragedy. Joe? Good.
Yes.
Right. Good. Right. Like, I mean, it's that thing we've talked about. I feel like we've talked about most times on the show as we've talked about video games trying to wrestle with this. Like, if you have a platform, you have to use it for good and you have to stand up for things. Right.
Yeah. And I think, a lot of these companies are, making their best effort in their bid for peace. And I think it's something that's universally wanted by everybody. Time will tell if these measures make a difference.
Yeah, and that's of course the thing, right? Where obviously I don't think Putin's sweating the fact that he can't get on the PlayStation Store and download Astrobot, but it is the idea that there's so much propaganda going on in Russia right now. That's some of the most heartbreaking stuff you see and hear from, right? It is Ukrainians who are trapped in their country right now, fighting for their country and having these conversations with their Russian family members who are being force-fed propaganda that make it seem like Russia is actually saving the Ukraine when in fact they are just invading and trying to take it over.
Yeah, and that suffering resonates throughout Europe, and it's an unfortunate situation. And like I said, we can only hope for the best to come of it, even though it's gotten so bad so quickly.
100%. Yeah. So I mean, applaud all these companies, obviously using what they can and how they can to try to make a statement of like, hey, this isn't what we want. This isn't good. And that, try to shake the foundation over there so that there isn't outcry from, we saw it when the original invasion began in Ukraine, right? That there were plenty of Russians out there protesting the street. That continues to this day. People who are trying to stand up and say, this isn't right. And when you do this and you're able to actually bring it down to get to people on a one-by-one basis, have something they do care about, affected by this, even though they could turn a blind eye to the news, they could turn a blind eye to what's happening across the border or across, the continent, since it is so big. There are these things that get to shake people up and see it. So you hope there's some effect to it.
Yes, indeed.
Now, of course, good on Nintendo, good on PlayStation for that. However, bad news for PlayStation and bad on PlayStation. We go to Stephen Totilo at Axios, who writes number 2 on the Roper Report. More women are alleging sexism at PlayStation. 8 more women, former and current employees at Sony PlayStation, have added their accounts of sexist treatment to a proposed class action lawsuit against the gaming giant. If you don't read Axios, by the way, it's a great site. They do a great newsletter, and they break down their stories in a way that are easily digestible. So it reads different than your normal Kind of Funny Games news, Kind of Funny Games daily news story. So stick with me. Stephen writes, why it matters. The new declarations add to former IT security analyst Emma Majo's assertion that PlayStation, like many other companies, has long held a workplace culture that is hostile to women. Emma filed a gender discrimination suit against PlayStation last November, not just for what she says is her own wrongful termination after complaining about sexism, but on behalf of all women who work for the company. Sony denied those claims last month, asking a court to toss the lawsuit out over the lack of specific facts. Emma, quote, fails to identify a single policy, practice, or procedure at PlayStation that allegedly formed the basis of any widespread intentional discrimination or had a discriminatory impact on women, Sony's lawyers wrote at the time. In response, Emma's attorney yesterday filed statements from the 8 women, including a current PlayStation employee, which is always one of those things I think of, you called down the thunder. Well, now you got it. She has no examples. Oh, here's 8 people that'll corroborate my examples. Stephen goes on in his article. The details. The women describe a range of behaviors across multiple US-based PlayStation offices, including demeaning comments, unwelcoming advances, a lack of attention paid to their work or ideas, and, most frequently, a sense that it was harder for women to be promoted in the company. Marie Harrington, a veteran of Sony Online Entertainment and Sony PlayStation for more than 16 years, cited a lack of women considered for senior roles during calibration sessions. During one session, she said only 4 women were considered for promotions compared to nearly 70 men. She described hearing comments about female candidates' family lives that weren't made about the male candidates. In a 2018 email to superiors regarding bullying by men at the company, Harrington linked to a New York Times article about women revolting against toxic males at Nike, asking, quote, can we address this before PlayStation has its own national news article, end quote. Another woman cited a third-party study that found a great imbalance in terms of employee distribution in her team. Quote, I believe Sony is not equipped to adequately handle toxic environments, wrote Cara Johnson, a former program manager, in her statement. She noted she was aware of 10 women who'd left her office in Rancho Bernardo, California, in the 4 months preceding her departure, a sign to her of systematic problems. Her declaration includes a letter she shared with female employees when she left the company in January 2021, citing repeated attempts to notify superiors about gender bias, alleged discrimination against pregnant women, and resistance from a senior man in HR to act on those accounts. Sony did not reply to a request for comment about the new assertions by press time. What's next? Yesterday's filing met a deadline for replies to Sony's attempt to drop the suit. So, throw this out. There's no evidence. Here's all this evidence. It's like, well, now we will see where this goes. And I think, Joe, you get into a difficult spot when, games keeps having these kind of toxic work environments come up, where you never want to compare one to the other. Well, like, yeah, the atrocities basically happening over at Activision Blizzard, and that's too far, right? Well, I mean, somebody did kill themselves, right? So the horrendous things that are happening at Activision Blizzard versus then, well, it'd be easy, and I've seen comments on some of these articles and tweets, well, it's not that bad. An assault on one is an assault on any. And the fact that like somebody's going to work and feeling like they're not being heard, that they're being discriminated against, again, some of this coming down to clearly women being pregnant. The comment about like, oh, well, the candidates who were female had their family lives brought into it where a man never did. Like, that's discrimination. That's not right. And that needs to be stopped.
No, I'd agree with you 100% on that, especially on that point. Females experience very, very different challenges in life, especially when it comes to the workplace and the work environment. So, anytime you see this, is obviously disheartening. You would hope that the work culture at many of these companies, especially legally, would handle these situations much differently. Do best by their employees, not necessarily by the bottom line. But until we see that focus in corporate culture shift to where there is more of a semblance of caring for your actual workers and the health of your staff and the people that make your company go. I feel like we're going to continue to see this popping up time and time again.
And that's the hope, right? I think so many people, when we do these stories and talk about this in Kind of Funny Games Daily, but also just the industry in general, are always like, oh man, I'd like to hear more about the games. I'd like to hear this rather than what's happening at the company. But you can't ignore the people who are making your games, that are making the games happen. Even if this is something going on with an IT professional or whatever, that's not a developer. We talk about the developer problems. You talk about what's happening systematically inside a company, whether it be PlayStation, Activision, Riot. If there's something going on that's toxic, that affects everybody, and that affects worker retention. It affects, stability of the games you love. It all goes back to that of like, basically, I've said this over and over again, so I don't mean to be a broken record, but like, I want anybody involved with making the thing that brings me so much joy to be happy and be fulfilled and not feel like they're being discriminated. And so the hope would be, as these stories continue to come to light, as we continue to talk about them, you do see a change where you understand like, okay, this shit doesn't fly anymore. And I think especially as we look at Activision Blizzard and we see the fallout from that, we see, the complete fall from grace, that maybe not even fall from grace because nobody liked Bobby Kotick ever, but now the jig is up and this isn't cool. And you have at DICE, right, Phil Spencer accepting this Lifetime Achievement Award, but saying that, we need to do better. We need to take care of the people who make it. You hope that changes in the air, and stories like this make that happen.
Yeah. And I mean, you hear this often, you hear this kind of this battle cry that, we want to do better. We're going to do better. But, once again, I think as long as you have high pressure situations mixed with, the eventual bad person that's going to find his way into your company, you're going to continue to see this. So, there's got to be more than just declarations. There has to be 100%. Really, solid moves in making an effort to correct this problem, because, it's like you said, it's quite a few now. It's become quite a thing. So, and I think that a lot of the circumstances of when and how it occurs are very similar, and it's time that we started addressing those circumstances.
100%. And I think we're well on our way now, but now it's like you're saying, where everyone has said stuff. Everyone has stood up for this. PlayStation, fucking Jim Ryan made a statement about Activision Blizzard when all that was happening and how heinous all that was and how much that disheartened him. Great. Now look inside your company and bounce every fucking asshole that works there. Like, that's how this has got to be. There's got to be, zero tolerance now of, if you're in the video game industry and you are actively making somebody's life worse, you need to get the fuck out. I digress. Let's get back to video game news. That was video game news too, but we'll stay in the PlayStation thing. Now we'll go to PlayStation State of Play recap. Joe, yesterday of PlayStation did a 20-minute State of Play, running you through all sorts of announcements from their Japanese publisher friends. I'm going to go through the top down, and you can talk about whatever you like, Joe.
For sure.
Exoprimal was announced from Capcom. For a while, we all thought it was a Dino Crisis. Then we thought it was another game.
You remember with Dino Crisis, right? Dino Crisis. It's Dino
They're like,
Crisis.
no, Exoprimal. It's coming to PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4 in 2023. It looks like Earth Defense Force, but instead of bugs, you're fighting raptors, which could
But it's kind of Dino Crisis, right?
Yeah, it looks kind of Dino Crisis. Yeah. You're shooting dinosaurs, why not? Then we got another trailer for Ghostwire Tokyo. Of course, that's coming out soon. I have it, and I can give you a preview soon. Stranger of Paradise got a quick trailer, and then a new demo dropped yesterday. Forspoken got a new trailer that I thought looked actually pretty rad, Joe. Like, I don't know if
it looked really, really good. Kind of gave me some like Infamous-y vibes, which I dig, like just the bolt play and stuff. It was kind of cool. So yeah,
100%. Of course, we already knew that got delayed to October, but they reaffirmed that. They showed Gundam Evolution. They showed TMNT, the Cowabunga collection, which is all the classic Ninja Turtle games coming from Konami, coming to PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5.
I'm surprised they got the fighters in there. That was kind of nice.
Yeah, right. It's a wealth of TMNT games. We're like, even when we were watching it, I think Tim was like, "Oh man, they didn't have. Oh, they do have that." Like they were like down the line of like, "Oh, they actually have the stuff you'd want in there." Great. Gigabash is coming to PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All Star Battle is coming out in early fall 2022 for PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4. Devolver's Trek to Yomi got shown again, of course, coming spring 2022, PS5, PS4. If you haven't seen it, go check a trailer for that, especially if you like Ghost of Tsushima. It's a samurai game. It looks awesome. It's from Devolver.
It looks super awesome.
I mean, right? Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Kevin, while I keep talking, if you can grab the trailer for that, I think we might double back and talk about that Trek to Yomi. And also, Kevin, what did you order for breakfast? You said you're excited in ordering breakfast.
Breakfast burrito with Italian sausage.
You do Lucho's?
I've never done that. No, unfortunately, Lucho's is not on DoorDash.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I'll talk to him about it next time I see him.
Thank you. Yeah, I haven't seen Lucho in a long time. I miss him. Then Returnal popped up. We all were surprised to see that. They're adding campaign co-op to it and a survival mode. Returnal Ascension is what they're calling it. Will drop March 22nd. Then they showed something called the Dio Field Chronicles. Everybody thought it was a tactics game for a while. It kind of looked like that, and then it wasn't. 2022, PlayStation 4, PS5, and then Valkyrie Elysium was shown on PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 for 2022 as well. Joe, what was the standout to you, or was there no standout?
I mean, nothing that really jumped off the screen that I was like, wow, can't wait to have or try this. Although, it was a Road to Yume.
Trek to Yomi right now as we're looking
Trek to
here.
Yume. I mean, this looks odd. Like I like I said, coming off of Ghost of Tsushima. I mean, this is something I definitely would play. So I mean, this was the most exciting to me. Kind of coming out of the conference. But I mean, everything else was kind of expected. I like the Returnal co-op mode. I think it's pretty cool. And it felt, honestly, with all the Square games like showcased, you're starting to wonder if another big acquisition's in the cards or something. 'Cause I mean, it felt like a Square conference, if anything.
Yeah, at the end for sure they did that, and it was like they'd done the tease earlier in the day, right? Of like, oh well, don't forget, or maybe it was the day before. Of hey, it's 35th anniversary of this Final Fantasy, and people started getting going there. And there was a lot, obviously, of people getting excited, maybe hyping themselves up too much, as the audience tends to do, as they got ready for this. And then there was, of course, the inevitable disappointment from so many. Lucy Dream wrote into patreon.com/kindafunnygames and said, yesterday's presentation solidified that there is a stark difference between a state of play and a PlayStation showcase. As Blessing said on the watch along, we pretty much have no reason to get hyped about state of play anymore going forward. I have no problem with this, as my expectations can now be set properly for each upcoming Sony event. Now, Joe, I feel like this conversation happens after every state of play, and people still get overhyped for state of plays. And PlayStation comes out and they say, hey, it's only 20 minutes and we're showing stuff from our Japanese, and everybody's like, well, we're going to get an Infamous and Sly Cooper. Do you think expectations will ever be able to be kept in check for a state of play?
No, and I think Sony needs to make a bigger note of what a state of play actually is, and because I mean, everybody thinks it's like a big game showcase, so, like nothing cool that I can remember has ever come out on a state of play where I'm just like, wow, like some things that have already come out, some more footage of it maybe, but I can't remember a debut on a state of play.
Resident Evil 3 debuted at a state of play, right? And then they've done good, of course, of like, hey, this state of play is going to be about The Last of Us or whatever, and have a giant thing back. I know what you're talking about in terms of a surprise, something that caught you off guard. But yeah.
Well, I mean, at this point, it's the boy who cried wolf far too many times. I mean, it's just like, I feel like the debuts that people wanted to see at state of play, they're gonna kind of cordon that off for a bigger event or its own announcement, solitarily.
Yeah. And I think that's, again, to Lucid Dreams thing, I would hope that people get their expectations set. I see over here in the chat in terms of like, we brought that up, like, well, it's there. Final Fantasy VII remaster intergrade. Sifu also debuted there. Little Devil Inside. Those are all well and good. And maybe Final Fantasy's on a different level. But Sifu and Little Devil Inside.
All awesome games.
Yeah. But they're not like, turn your head, oh my God, like you're saying, stop the world. Like we went through this and it's like, all right, yeah, Trek to Yomi looks cool and Returnal looks cool. Yeah. And I like that idea that state of play is just, hey, here's a bunch of cool shit that you probably wouldn't give we'd put up a blog post, but how many people are going to read that? We can get all your eyes on it right here.
I think the point is like everybody's got to kind of adjust their expectations for what a state of play is, because usually it exceeds my expectations, because I know we're, in my head, I kind of filed it away like, oh, a lot of, downloadable games that, you usually get it, when you first, PlayStation and stuff. But like, this is this is not going to be the big debuts of awesome things. I mean, this is or franchises that you're familiar with. You know, the big debut. It's not going to come here at a State of Play. You know, it's just not a big enough kind of media event for PlayStation.
Which again, then I think is, I feel like I really appreciate Lucid Dream's question right, because it's not saying like, fuck this, I'm never watching it again. It's saying like, cool, now I know what to expect out of these. And that's what everybody should, because it is like so hard to get people to pay attention to a game. So the fact that we all came together for 20 minutes and now I know a little bit about Exoprimal, like, all right, like if Exoprimal just dropped a trailer, I would not watch an Exoprimal trailer.
No,
but I
this
watched
is a big boost to a
like,
lot of these games. Like I said, most of these games I would not watch their trailer unsolicited. You know, I wouldn't go out of my way to see a lot of this stuff, but kind of getting it all condensed together. And you know what? It moves fast. You know, I'm never kind of like at a lull, you know, keeps things going. It's like this introduced me to a lot of games that I probably wouldn't be interested.
100%. 100%. And I think that's a great avenue for it, and it should be. But yeah, you have to get everybody now on the same page of that's what it'll be. So shut up beforehand and don't get excited. And if it is more than that, PlayStation usually tells you. Again, like I think it's easy to give State of Play flack and be like, oh, it's a disappointment or whatever. Again, they told you 20 minutes, Japanese publisher friends, and they are also like, hey, nothing about PlayStation VR 2, which I appreciated back when we were in the lead up to PS5. They'd be like, hey, nothing about PlayStation 5 here. That when there is the one that, hey, this is going to be 45 minutes and they don't say any of that stuff, that's when I think it's easier to dream and be like, oh my God. Or, hey, we're doing one that is specifically about God of War Ragnarok, which I'm sure you'll get, you know, in the future. They're going to do maybe a showcase, I would assume, of like, hey, this is what PlayStation VR 2 is going to be about. Like, they're messaging it. You just have to listen. And I think people are struggling with that at times. But back to a real announcement from it. The 5-star man writes into patreon.com/kindoffunnygames and says, hey, Greg and Joe, yesterday's State of Play revealing the TMNT Cowabunga collection got me going. I was curious if either of you had a dream collection of older games you would like to see get released. It's a tough one, Joe. So again, we went over the top of it. I'm going to read from Bo Moore's report on IGN.com, right? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the Cowabunga collection, is coming to PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 this year. The collection will also be available on Switch, Xbox One, Xbox Series X/S, and PC. Developed by Konami in collaboration with Nickelodeon and Digital Eclipse, the collection spans games from arcade, NES, Super NES, Genesis, and Game Boy. The games have been updated with HD textures and have modern features like save and rewind, as well as both local and online play in some games. There are also new modes like Boss Rush and Challenge Mode. Here's the full list of the games in the collection. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Arcade, TMNT Turtles in Time Arcade, TMNT Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles NES, TMNT 2 the arcade game NES, TMNT 3 the Manhattan Project NES, TMNT 4 Turtles in Time SNES, TMNT the Hyperstone Heist Genesis, TMNT Fall of the Foot Clan Game Boy, TMNT 2 Back from the Sewers Game Boy, TMNT 3 Radical Rescue Game Boy, TMNT Tournament Fighters NES, TMNT Tournament Fighters SNES, TMNT Tournament Fighters Genesis. The Cowabunga collection also includes local and online co-op, including for games like TMNT 2, the arcade game, the Manhattan Project, Turtles in Time, and the Hyperstone Heist will have local multiplayer. So
that's an anthology.
That is a huge collection.
Big ups to them. They got it all in there. That's appreciated, you know?
And it's the thing. And now that you have the rewind, I feel like maybe I could actually beat TMNT on the NES, because I could never before when I was at my friend's house. I was
impossible, dude. Just the overworld game with the little with the van. Oh,
you know what I mean? Falling
way too.
Kevin,
hard.
what was the one you brought up yesterday about the whole?
There was the little jump where it's like, okay, you just have to time the jump perfectly, and it's like, no, you walk over it. It
was the eel level, the underwater eel level's ridiculous.
It's too hard.
But now it's here, and it's better, and it's classic, and it's whatever. So congratulations, everybody there. But Joe, for you, is there something that stands out of a collection of older games?
I like a Legacy of Kain kind of anthology. That'd be kind of cool.
Ooh.
Collection of older games like that. I mean,
okay,
that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, see, that's my thing too. Is I don't go. Well, I guess I do it. I guess I'm cheating. What I want, and this pains me to say it, and I hope I'm wrong, and everything else. Right? You would assume Metal Gear is done. It breaks my heart.
No,
it kills me to say it. Kevin, well, I don't want. I don't exactly. I don't want. Nobody.
I heard there's a new pachinko machine coming out in like 2 months.
Oh, God damn it, Joe! Don't bring it up. It's a sore spot. You know? Oh, God damn it, Joe.
You know.
Just let it be, Konami. Unless you're going to work with Kojima, unless you're going to license it to PlayStation, unless PlayStation's going to give it to Bluepoint, and then Bluepoint's going to work with Kojima as a just if Kojima's not involved, don't do it. At which point, give me the definitive Metal Gear collection. Every Metal Gear game. Of course, I know there's a million ways to get starting from, a million ways to get them all. But I mean, legitimately, The NES games, or well, MGXS game or whatever. Give me that. Give me the Game Boy game I played in college when I got my Advance, which was a Game Boy game, but I played it in the Advance. Like, give me that. Give me give me PS1. Give me fucking Twin Snakes. Like, if we're allowed to just dream, if we're allowed to dream every game, Acid, Portable Ops, put them all on one collection, and I will give you my right arm for it. That's it.
Well, that's quite an ask. I mean, what? Hey,
Konami, you have it all.
Can't wait for Konami to slap together like a Hapdash compilation of badly ported emulation, and you're walking around with a nub. Like, that's gonna be
There's just nothing. This is not even worth it. It's not even worth it. One day, Konami will do the right thing, right? Right? Speaking of doing the right thing, Greg Way, you could do the right thing. Go to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. Kick us a few bucks. Be on the show. Be a Patreon producer. Get the post show we do. Get the show ad free. But guess what, Jack? You're not watching on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. So here's a word from our sponsor.
Shout out to ExpressVPN for sponsoring this episode. If you've ever been on the bus or the train with someone who's taking a phone call on speaker, you know that everyone who can hear them now knows a bunch of their private business. Using the internet without ExpressVPN is basically the same thing, so don't be that person. Did you know your ISP knows every single website you visit, and then they can sell that information to ad companies and tech giants who can use that data to target you? Well, ExpressVPN creates a secure encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet so people can't peep in on your online activity. The best part of it is how easy it is to use. You just fire up the ExpressVPN app and click a button on any device. I've been using this forever. Kind of Funny's been staying safe on the internet with ExpressVPN, and they're right. It could not be easier to use. Secure your online activity today at expressvpn.com/kindoffunny and get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN free. That's expressvpn.com/kindoffunny. expressvpn.com/kindoffunny. Shout out to Upstart. If you've got multiple credit card balances each month and are getting by just paying the minimums, barely making a dent into your credit card debt, it can be pretty dang discouraging. Upstart can help you pay off your existing debt quickly so you can feel like you're finally getting ahead. Whether you're paying off credit cards, consolidating high interest debt, or funding personal expenses, over 500,000 people have used Upstart to get one fixed monthly payment. Upstart knows that you are more than just your credit score and is expanding access to affordable credit. Unlike other lenders, Upstart considers your income and current employment to find you a smarter rate for your loan. With a 5-minute rate check, you can see your rate upfront for loans between $1,000 and $50,000 and receive your funds as fast as one business day after accepting your loan. Find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/kindoffunny. That's upstart.com/kindoffunny. Don't forget to use the URL to let them know that we sent you. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Go to upstart.com/kindoffunny. Shout out to Babbel for sponsoring this episode. There's nothing worse than traveling abroad and looking like an idiot because you didn't bother to learn the slightest bit of the country's language. That's why Greg Miller has been using a little Babbel to learn French to speak to Genevieve. Babbel is the addictively fun, fast, and easy language learning app that has sold more than 10 million subscriptions. Babbel's 15-minute lessons make it the perfect way to learn a new language on the go. Other language learning apps use AI for their lesson plans, but Babbel lessons were created by over 100 language experts. Their teaching method has been scientifically proven to be effective, and you can choose from 14 different languages like Spanish, French, Italian, and German. Plus, Babbel's speech recognition technology helps you to improve your pronunciation and accent, which has been helping Greg Miller be able to communicate with Jen's extended family. Right now, when you purchase a 3-month Babbel subscription, you'll get an additional 3 months free. That's 6 months for the price of 3. Just go to babbel.com and use promo code KINDOFFUNNY. That's BABBEL.com, code KINDOFFUNNY. Babbel, language for life. And shout out to Chime. Kick off 2022 with a better checking account with no monthly fees, no overdraft fees, no foreign transaction fees, and no service fees. Get all of that and then some with Chime, an award-winning app and debit card. They've also got over 60,000 fee-free in-network ATMs all over the place, like at most Walgreens, 7-Elevens, or CVS's. You can access your money when you need it, where you need it. Make your first good decision of the new year and join over 10 million people using Chime. Sign up takes only 2 minutes and doesn't affect your credit score. Get started at chime.com/KFgames. That's chime.com/KFgames. Banking services provided by and debit card issued by the Bancorp Bank or Stride Bank N.A. members FDIC. Get fee-free transactions at any MoneyPass ATM in a 7-Eleven location and at any Allpoint or Visa Plus Alliance ATM. Otherwise, out-of-network ATM withdrawal fees may apply. Sometimes pay anyone instant transfers can be delayed. The recipient must use a valid debit card or be a Chime member to claim funds. Chime.com/KFgames.
Thank you, Tim, and thank you to our sponsors. Joe, we have breaking news.
Uh-oh.
We go to twitter.com/popcrave. Super Nintendo World is officially set to open at Universal Studios Hollywood in 2023. Nintendo announced today. Then they have some mock-up images here. I'm sure Kevin
Let's
will have them. I know. Well, this is so much. This is both easier and sad because it was, of course, when pre-COVID, we were like, Gary Whitta said he'd send Kevin. He'd send Kevin over there. He'd send Kevin to Japan to go to Super Nintendo World.
I think he said he'd still send me.
Yeah, but now we can all just go to Hollywood. Now we can all just go to LA.
Off the table. Yeah, much easier flight to deal with. Logistically, you're gonna wait for Hollywood.
I'll go to both. I'm fine.
But think about this. You go with me down there, right, to Super Nintendo World, and then we go to Portillo's.
That doesn't sound fun. Ooh.
I gotcha. I turned it around.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So 2023, apparently. We'll see. I don't believe any release date about anything in real life anymore. You know what I mean? Joe, people are trying to book me for the Comic-Con. I'm like, okay, let's see.
All right,
let's see who's going to creep up by then. You know what I mean?
I'll see you at E3. Okay, great.
Joe, will you be going to Super Nintendo World?
If it opens up in Hollywood, I definitely will. I actually kind of had a trip planned on the books to go visit it out in Tokyo, but yeah, this is much easier flight. So yeah, I might check it out.
Okay, I want to go back to Tokyo, and I want to bring you, Kevin. We got to go. You got to see Japan.
I'd love
Kevin.
to. I'm very excited to go to Tokyo.
Great town.
Yeah, you probably have a lot of good Japan stories, I imagine, Joe.
Wonderful stories. Great place.
Number 4 on the Roper Report. Overwatch 2 beta is coming soon as Blizzard decouples PvP and PvE to release content faster. This is Chris Pereira over at GameSpot.com. Blizzard has shared new details regarding its plans for Overwatch 2, which include getting the PvP component of the shooter into players' hands while it continues to work on the PvE side. That will begin with a closed alpha today, followed by a beta that includes a wider pool of players starting in April. Game director Aaron Keller shared the information as part of a new developer update video. The main takeaway is the, quote, decoupling of the PvP and PvE aspects of Overwatch 2, which is meant to, quote, get new PvP content into your hands sooner while we continue to work on PvE, according to a company blog post. The closed alpha test for Overwatch 2's PvP that begins today will likely not be something you can participate in. It will feature Blizzard employees, Overwatch League players, and a few other select groups ahead of a beta that will start in late April for PC players in all regions. That April test will be a closed beta, but you can now sign up to request access to it on the game's official website. Access will come in waves, so even if you don't get in right away, you may still get in later. Overwatch 2 does not have a release date. Alongside Diablo 4, Blizzard delayed its release late last year, and we may not see either game launch until 2023. All of this comes amidst the ongoing Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard, which itself follows disturbing reports of a toxic work environment at the company. Joe, was Overwatch ever one of your games?
Yes, absolutely.
Really?
And this is a rotten news story. I don't even know why you put these news stories out. Hey, guess what? A bunch of people are going to play a game you want to play, and you can't play it. But at some point, you could sign up to play it, and maybe we'll think about you playing it.
Don't shoot the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger,
saying.
Joe.
I mean, I know you didn't do this. Somebody else wrote this. I bet he has access to this playtest. He's just stunting on everybody. This is my story. I got access to what you don't have. Boom. Suck it. I mean, that's what this story feels like, man.
I mean, like, I hear what you're saying. I doubt Chris Pereira at GameSpot has access. And if he does, we can have it revoked if you'd like.
Yeah, we should. I mean, it's just a little weird, making everybody else feel bad. Nobody gets a positive buzz off this. Nobody's like, dang, a bunch of professionals and people that work for the company and close to the company get to play and I don't. Great for them. Nobody says that. And if you do, you're weird. All right, that's not right.
That's fair.
You're a little selfish.
You're just. You're just, Joe, and I appreciate that about you. You know what I mean? I have put in a message here to Timur Hussein, who I do believe is, of course, the editor-in-chief of GameSpot.com forever and always. And so if Chris Pereira has access to this Overwatch beta, we will have it removed. Don't worry.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
We'll get that removed from him.
Stuff on us like that, Chris.
And remember everybody,
man. I know what you're playing at.
Cut a promo on Chris Pereira right now. I'll stop. I'll get out of the way.
Listen, Chris, I get it. You have special access to certain things. You feel kind of special about it. So you mock up this news story telling the world that they can't play something that you can. But you don't really tell them that you can play it. But they know that there's certain individuals, chosen ones, that can. And I bet, Chris, I bet you count yourself among those people. You know, I've seen a lot of scumbags in my time, but it's the quiet ones like you, Chris. It's the quiet ones like you that I despise the most. Okay, I'm done.
Chris, Joe is going to kill you, so beware. All right, don't worry about it. So in general, then, I assume you're pretty hyped for Overwatch 2.
I think, yeah. I mean, obviously, it's had its development woes, and hopefully the taking over Nintendo, or excuse me, by Microsoft will damn, Nintendo taking that over. That'd be something. No, the acquisition by Microsoft.
That would not go well. That would, all that online infrastructure, throw it out.
Yeah.
Here's a long code. We're going to use that.
Yeah, ain't no more clips of Overwatch ever. Yeah, I think I'm looking forward to the game. You know, I think they had something special with the first one, and if they balance things out right, which they have proven to do over the life of the game, then I think it'll be something exceptional when it comes out for the second installment.
Smart move, I would think, to decouple, get the PvP out there. I mean, that's what people want from Overwatch 2. PvE is more my jam, but I'm not the Overwatch audience. So, I mean, you guys just want to be playing more Overwatch, more content, right?
And it's not that I don't like the PvE, but I mean, it's a nice implementation kind of to break the monotony, but it was never something that, like, I delved into and was really about. It's really about the PvP.
Sure. And then, when 2023, how's that sit with you? You can't even get into the beta right now because Chris Pereira won't let you in, but you have to wait that long.
Yeah, I know. I'm good with it. I really don't stress on game delays now at this point. I mean, especially with all the news that comes out week after week about crunch and everything else. I mean, if anything, I'd rather have the game be done right and have it take another year than be playing a crappy game for half a year while I wait for it to be updated and patched. I mean, really it is down to that. I mean, you look at a Cyberpunk, I mean, look how long it took to get to 1.5 or whatever iteration it's at now. It's like, I'd rather have it done in-house and never see it and see it the first time at its best than, like, get this kind of new form of early access I feel we get on a lot of consoles.
Even now, I think this week the most recent XCast, right, was them all talking about how Halo probably should have been delayed, right, to actually have it all there and have the campaign co-op and have Forge and have all the things you want, because there's just this huge gap right now where Halo came out and people were excited and then it's just gone, and now nobody's talking about Halo. Like, where's all the stuff you wanted from that game? And so it's interesting here of, like, get the PvP out, keep building on that, and then the PvE comes later, because of course Overwatch PvP is what people come back for night after night.
Oh, without a doubt. Go with what got you to the dance, and you can prove on anything else a little bit later on.
Now, I said at the top of the show, favorite game of all time, which I always do. I'm a great interviewer. Everybody knows that.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we're here and you're talking about how much you like Overwatch, what do you play? Like, I know, are you playing the latest releases? You're jumping from story to story. Are you playing something over and over again? If you were to not be on this show right now, you could go play games. What would you be playing?
I'd be yelling at my screen playing Elden Ring. I'm not a big Souls guy, but this one got me. And like I said, it's just and I'll tell you why. It's just, really it is the open world component. It gives you kind of the option to disengage and figure things out and come back to things, whereas felt like Souls games in general were very linear, and linear in the sense of you knew you were going to certain destinations. And,
sure, you get to that next boss and you can't advance until you beat that.
boss. And I think they just did a great job with it. And it sounds cliche, and I know everybody in the world's playing it right now, but I mean, yeah, it kind of takes up your time. But other than that, Windjammers 2, real big in my house. Played couch co-op with a lot of my family, a lot of trash talked around here. So it's been a big hit around here. And I just downloaded King of Fighters and started getting into it today. And I dig it thus far. It's a little bit of a simpler system, but it's nice for me to be able to pick up a game and not have to know every single thing about it right off the bat to be somewhat competitive. So
of course, yeah. For Elden Ring, what sold you? Were you always going to try it, or was that you read a review, saw a comment, or just was it the fact that everyone in the video game world is talking about it?
I was gonna avoid it, but then I played Sekiro a couple months back. Got halfway through it and really kind of enjoyed the experience and kind of felt like, oh, felt tighter. It felt like something I would like to play. And then when Elden Ring came out, I think just too many people that I know just were just aping all over it and say, oh, it's
Sure.
great and it's this and that. And so I bought it to try it out, and 3 hours later and a bunch of cussing fits in the middle of the night, I'm still playing it here. So yeah, I mean, it really hooked me.
What I love, Joe, is when people fall in love with you and seeing the chat react to you being an Elden Ring guy now. Like I'm gonna have to kick Gary Witt off shows and start bringing you back every week. Samoa Joe Tuesdays or something. Number 5 on the Roper Report, we're gonna go to GamesIndustry.biz, where Jeffy Grubb writes, Dead Space remake delayed. Parentheses, even though there was never really a date, but it's kind of been pushed back. This is Greg adding in all this. Electronic Arts is now internally targeting an early 2023 release for its upcoming Dead Space remake. The company was originally considering an October 2022 timeframe, but it never announced that publicly. Now the company is taking extra time to ensure it gives the game enough time to wow fans when it returns. Dead Space is a sci-fi horror survival game that was once a crown jewel of EA's properties, but over the last decade, the publisher had moved away from single-player action adventures. Instead, it looked for success with live service games that could support microtransactions. That strategy even came to Dead Space 3, which features a number of in-game purchases that many players balked at. EA and developer Motive are planning a development update regarding Dead Space for tomorrow. The game continues to impress people internally, and the goal is to have a Dead Space remake that matches Capcom's Resident Evil 2 remake in terms of quality. That is a process that will take time, and the company knows that. For me, Joe, great news. I adore Dead Space. I do not want them to fuck up the remake. So take all the time you want. Don't rush it. Don't try to hit October for Halloween. Don't worry about it.
I think Dead Space is one of those kind of penultimate games where, like you talk about, where the horror genre jumped up a notch, and before kind of Resident Evil was that introductory standard where, that the dogs coming through the window. I remember that was the first great big scare in video games. But then, you fast forward. I remember that the first time I was ever unsettled by a game was that, that first creature in Dead Space who comes up out of the body. You're just like, oh, what is that?
Oh, that necromorph. Right? Yeah, man.
So, I'm, like I said, rather have them take the time, do things right, and present a Dead Space that, fans of the series would expect.
Yeah. Also, Motive deserves to have a game that they can be super proud of at launch. Motive makes great stuff, but sometimes it takes a while to get going and it isn't received because of and because of EA's influence. Like, let this one actually stand out and do right by Dead Space, especially after you shit canned Visceral and stopped all these things. Like, let's actually get this game out and have it be great. Number 6 on the Roper Report. Speaking of being out and being great, WWE 2K22 today announced its DLC. This is Jordan Middler over at VGC. 2K has announced the DLC roadmap for WWE 2K22, and it includes rapper Machine Gun Kelly and YouTuber Logan Paul. Get that out of your head, all right. Don't even worry about that. It also includes missing legends, including Cactus Jack, Yokozuna, and the British Bulldog. Players who own the deluxe edition of the game or the NWO for Life edition will receive the packs for free. Otherwise, they can be purchased individually or as a season pass. The full list of DLC for WWE 2K22 is the Bonsai Pack, releasing April 26th. This has Yokozuna, Umaga, Rikishi, Omos, and then Casey Catanzaro. Did I get it right? Catanzaro. Catanzaro.
I'm just gonna let you sit here and struggle with it. It's way more fun.
We followed each other a long time ago on Twitter or whatever, and then it's like I can. But anyways, Casey's in it, and then Most Wanted Pack releasing May 17th. Cactus Jack, the Boogeyman, Vader, Ilya Dragunov. Right, got that one. Indy Hartwell. Thank you, nailed it. You see, I spelled it out phonetically there because I don't want to screw anything up, Joe. I don't want to make a fool of myself in front of you.
Big brain on Greggy.
That's what I do. Then you get the Stand Back Pack. That's right, the Stand Back Pack, ladies and gentlemen, June 7th, because it starts with Hurricane Helms. Stand back! There's a hurricane coming through. He will be my main immediately upon arrival. Also in this pack, Stacy Keebler, A-Kid, Wesley, and then Nash Carter. Then you get the Clowning Around pack. June 28th gets Doink the Clown, Ronda Rousey, the British Bulldog, Mr. T, Dewdrop, and Rick Boogs. Then the whole damn pack releases July 19th, starring Mr. Monday Night, Rob Van Dam. The whole fucking show. Then Logan Paul, Machine Gun Kelly, LA Knight, Zeely, and Commander Aziz. Then back to VGC's Jordan Middler. In our WWE 2K22 review, we called it, quote, the comeback fans have been waiting for. Ultimately, though, the thing that will most likely achieve this is the in-ring gameplay, which is such an enormous improvement over its predecessor that the size of a relief from the fan base will be palpable. Joe, what do you think of this rundown of DLC for WWE 2K22?
I think it's a great rundown. The bonsai pack in particular should be called the barbecue pack, because these are all people that I probably have my barbecue in my backyard at any good time. But yeah, I think I'm stoked for this game. You know, like I've got to work with the guys at 2K for a few years now, and I know that they wanted to make a big comeback this year and kick ass and put out a great game. So I'm glad to hear a lot of positive feedback thus far. And like I said, they gave me a golden cyborg arm, and that shit touched my heart. So I mean, what more can I say?
You gotta be happy for it. You gotta be happy for it. Yeah, for me, it was fun. Of WWE 2K22 is the first WWE game I've been all in. No pun intended. All in on in quite some time, and I am like, we're streaming it after this. I saw somebody go through in the chat say, "Hey, their online servers are down again. They're trying to do a bunch of maintenance. I know before full release tomorrow." Even if that's the case, me and Blessing are still going to play. We're just going to do individually stuff because I'm trying to create all of Kind of Funny in the game. So there's plenty for me to do and play through on it, whatever. But it is a game that I can't wait to play more of. And I was so stoked on Tuesday when I did this show and was talking to Gary about it, who is a completely lapsed wrestling fan, who was excited for this game. We got him a copy. And then he started quizzing me like, wait, but is Roddy Piper in? I'm like, yes. And then he started going through the list and it was that name. And it's like, for me, one of the big missing pieces was, and I'm an ECW guy, right? Was Cactus Jack, was Mick Foley, right? The hardcore, Mr. Hardcore, this hardcore icon. And so to see him in the May 17th pack, I'm like, perfect, great. I want the reason to come back. I want to have it. I already think the roster is really varied and impressive and has a bunch of great guys on it. So it's like awesome to see stuff like that get added to it. And then of course,
2K makes a point to try to include the best roster they can. I think they did a good job this year.
Joe, I have a question for you now. And this is inside baseball about you being a performer who is then in the WWE at the time and then now in the WWE game. All right. And so, because my thing is this, I think it's time, everyone wants to shit on live services or whatever, but I would think with the engine WWE 2K22 has now, and if they sign a contract extension with the WWE, I would love to see them move to a live service platform. And I know that gets a bad rap, but stick with me, everybody. I don't really mean something bad. I mean where there'd be a constant slew of packs for wrestlers. You're just adding them in, you're buying, but do it like Fortnite, where people cycle in and cycle out, where it is like, you get this pack, but it's not available forever if you don't want to. And what I'm trying to do is replace this fact that I don't like that Gary asked me, is this guy in the game? And I have to say, well, no, he was in the game 2 years ago, but he's not in the game this time. When if we were on one thing as a live service, it feels like you could have these characters, but have them only there for a little bit of time and maybe get around contracts that way. So my question, this is all very heady and not even the question I'm asking you, Joe. The question I have for you is, how does it work for you to be in this game? Is it that at the time you were obviously an independent contractor for WWE, so they're able to put you where they want, or do they have to do a different contract for this? And then does that contract say you can only be in that game? Like, if any of this is stuff you don't know or don't want to talk about.
No. It built into most of our contracts is a licensing agreement. Depending on whether or not, like I said, like I am Samoa Joe, that's my trademark, what I own. So for me, it was a bit different than most guys because I had a license agreement with WWE.
Sure.
And we negotiated our price based off of that.
Gotcha.
But, essentially it's the same type of thing with guys who maybe don't have their own name or something. It's just, when you leave there, that character is still their property essentially.
Gotcha. Okay. Cause there's gotta be a way just to have one game that can just have everybody in it. And just because look at Fortnite with all these skins, Kevin. Look at how much Kevin plays on Fortnite.
I can say that there's been efforts at various times to make that a reality, various different companies and various different games. But
sure.
It's just a licensing nightmare, just tracking, trying to herd cats and track everybody down.
And that's the whole thing, like every time a Nintendo Switch comes around with their, like, oh man, we're gonna add some stuff to the expansion pack, the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack, whatever. Like when the N64 games come around, I'm always like, Greg, what's your dream? And I'm like, well, my dream will never happen. But my dream would be to get No Mercy or WrestleMania 2000 or WCW NWO Revenge on there. And I'm like, I know that is impossible because you can't go through and talk to all these different wrestlers and do the whole thing. But like somebody could. And that's why I looked at this AEW game, this Kenny Omega fellow, and I pray to him that he gets it right. And it's just exactly that. Even though, again, 2K22, great game. I'm having a lot of fun. I do think it's pick up and play. I do think you can get in there and have a lot of fun with it. But, I want No Mercy again.
Don't we all? Don't we
Don't
all?
we all? Don't we all? Seventh and final on the Roper Report. This is a short one. Some Diablo 2 veterans are opening a new studio. This is Ryan Dinsdale over at IGN.com. 2 veteran developers with leading roles on Diablo 2 are working on an original game at a newly formed studio, Moonbeast Productions. Diablo 2's lead artist and lore writer, Phil Schenk, has teamed up with the classic action RPG's lead designer Peter Hu to use their years of
Sounds like a
experience.
detective show.
Yeah, I know they
Checking
teamed up. They teamed up. They thought they were out, but video games pulled them back in. Can Phil and Peter come through to use their years of experience to develop a brand new title? Moonbeast Productions didn't say what the inaugural game would be, but promises genuine innovation and, quote, all the creativity and deep system design the developers are known for. So congratulations to Moonbeast Productions. Were you a Diablo?
Those are all
guy?
big words, aren't they?
Yeah, I know, right?
I am. I mean, I like Diablo, but it's always weird when I hear the studio opening. From the guys who brought you. You know, there's a lot of people that brought you that game, so it's like you never really quite know what you're getting from that. You know, this guy could be making coffee. I don't know. I'm sure these guys aren't those guys, but
this guy doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Yeah, well,
I hear you, but it's always a nice little
sandwiches. What is he doing to being head developer?
Yeah. Well, we'll see soon enough what Moonbeast Productions is doing. But I guess, Joe, that day is still so far away. If I wanted something more immediate, say what came to the mom and grab shops, where would I go?
Well, I heard that the official list of upcoming software across each and every platform, as listed by the Kind of Funny Games Daily Show hosts each and every weekday.
Yeah. Out today, Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin has that demo I talked about earlier. Time Loader is on Xbox One and PS4. Young Souls is on PC and PS4. The Last Cube is on PC and PS4. Submerge Hidden Depths is on Xbox Series X and PC. RPG Time, The Legend of Right. Okay. PC, Xbox Series X. Aztec Forgotten Gods is on PC and Switch. Retro Pixel Racers is on Xbox, all the Xboxes. Republic Anniversary Edition is on PS4 and Switch. Potato Flowers in Bloom is on PC and Switch. Dungeon Color.
Oh, choice, Cotton.
Potato Flowers in Bloom. All right, why not? Dungeon Color is on Xbox One and Switch. Kevin, Kevin's getting me a trailer for Potato Flowers in Bloom. I like that quite a bit. Dungeon Color, Xbox One and Switch. Chocobo GP is on Switch. Century Age of Ashes is on all the Xboxes. .hack//g.u. Last Recode is on Switch. Cyberstone Fighter. I already did that one. Sorry. Cyberstone Aztec Forgotten Gods. Yeah, I got it nailed. And then, is this it? This is the potato? Well, this isn't what I thought the potato game would look like.
Oh,
Surprise.
Potato Flowers in Bloom. This is like, where's the potato
at all?
Yeah. Well, there's a potato, maybe.
This is mini thugs beat up various animals. This is ridiculous.
This is completely false advertising, Joe. How did they get away with this?
Yeah.
Somebody call the Better Business Bureau. Then a GTA Online update for you reads like this. Short Trips pays out double GTA money this week with a lump sum bonus of $100,000 and a free black SA fitted cap for a completed trip. Plus, in preparation for the arrival of GTA 5 and GTA Online on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S, GTA Online players can enjoy a wide array of other discounts, bonuses, and rewards running through March 23rd. Workshop Simulator launches on Steam today, and then Lawn Mowing Simulator launches new Dino Safari DLC today. If that's your jams, go get it. New dates for you. The one, the only, the Jeff Keighley tweeted, happy to announce I have signed a new deal to continue producing and hosting Gamescom Opening Night Live. We will see you back live in Cologne, Germany on Tuesday, August 23rd. Xbox says they have an ID at Xbox Spring Showcase on /Twitch Gaming March 16th. And then Mococo X is coming to Steam and Nintendo Switch on April 7th. Deals of the day for you. Let's talk about free play days. Step into the fog this weekend in free play days on Xbox. Dead by Daylight is available this weekend for Xbox Live Gold and Xbox Game Pass Ultimate members to play from Thursday all the way through Sunday if you want to get on there and play for free if you have Xbox games with Gold. Joe?
Mm-hmm.
We asked people watching live on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames to go to kindoffunny.com/you're and tell us what we screw up as we screw it up so we can set the record straight for everybody watching later on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, roosterteeth.com, and listening on podcast services around the globe. Nanobiologist had breaking news we didn't get. It says this, by 2030, Xbox will design Xbox products and accessories and all Microsoft product packaging to be 100% recyclable in Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development countries, and posted an article about how they will be carbon negative by 2030. Excellent.
Hey,
We really fucked up the world. Let's see if we can undo it. You know, that'd be great. Also, Xbox, put rechargeable batteries in with your controller. Come on. It's 2022. All right.
About that time. It's about that time.
What's this news? Well, this isn't enough information for me to take. Mr. Hawk says the wonderful, beautiful, incredible Greg made a mistake when talking about the final DLC pack for WWE 2K22. The pack will also include the wrestler Saray from NXT. You take it up with Jordan Midler. Take it up with Jordan Midler over at VGC. All right, that's not on me if he said that. And then a couple of you wrote in to say we missed news that Akumi Nakamura has announced her new studio, Unseen. So that'll probably get covered tomorrow by Blessing and Zach from Kotaku. Zach from Kotaku is going to be on here to do that. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Kind of Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about. If you like that, be part of the show over on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. Over on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, you can write in to be part of the show. You can get the show ad-free. You can get it with the exclusive post show Joe and I are about to do. Of course, you get all those benefits for the Gamescast, PS I Love You, XOXO, and XCast as well. There's the Q&A show. There's all sorts of stuff happening. It's a great time on Patreon. But if you got no bucks to toss our way, no big deal. You can watch live as we record at twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames, where, of course, we are about to start streaming some WWE 2K22. I think Blessing is taking on Samoa Joe in the front. And if he forgets, you all yell at him in the chat about it, all right? You can catch that later, youtube.com/kindoffunnyplays. Of course, Kind of Funny Games Daily, like I said, youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, roosterteeth.com, podcast services around the globe. If you're using the Epic Game Store, use the creator code KindofFunny. If you're not playing on Epic Game Store, remember a whole bunch of games use the Epic Game Store, so just use Kind of Funny. Creator code wherever it is. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Who cares? Like I said, Bless and Zach are on tomorrow. Wrestling after this. We got the AEW guy coming on, Fuego del Sol, Kind of Funny podcast this afternoon. And then Joe, where can people keep up with you?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Samoa Joe.
Do you think you'll get a job soon, or are you going to keep being a deadbeat?
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of nice. I mean, it's been, relaxing days. I got my Tom Selleck shirt on. I mean, what more do you need? You can
play Elden Ring all day. What do you care? Yeah.
I play Elden Ring all day. I mean, it's kind of a nice cycle as we go. But I'm sure eventually I'll get out there and start mingling.
Okay, good. Joe, I love you. I'm so glad you came on today. You are welcome back anytime. I think I want to start booking you more. How about that?
Oh, hey, much appreciated. It was very fun to be here, and it was an enjoyable Games Daily.
It was an enjoyable Games Daily. We got a post show to do over on patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. But until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you.